If you live in a swing state like Arizona or Georgia or Wisconsin, or if you have been watching football, chances are that you have probably seen this ad in recent weeks.
It's hard to believe, but it's true. Even the liberal media was shocked Kamala supports taxpayer-funded sex changes for prisoners and illegal aliens.
Every transgender inmate would have access.
Kamala's for they, them. President Trump is for you.
I'm Donald J. Trump, and I approve this message.
That is the blatant anti-trans message millions of Americans are hearing in their living rooms. Since the beginning of August, Republicans have spent more than $65 million on ads focusing on transgender issues in over a dozen states. That is according to a New York Times analysis of data compiled by Ad Impact. Republicans clearly believe that these ads will help galvanize the MAGA base, but that strategy of bashing Democrats' support for trans rights hasn't helped them in key races in the past, including in the 2022 midterms. The president of one of the country's leading LGBTQ advocacy groups says it shows that Republicans are desperate right now. Instead of articulating how they're going to make the economy better or schools safer, they're focused on sowing fear and chaos. Those were the words of Kelly Robinson, president of the Human Rights Campaign. She joins me now. Kelly, it's great to have you back on the show. Elaborate on that quote for us I just shared. What do these desperate anti-trans ads from the Trump campaign say about their footing in the race just weeks before the election?
This is all smoke and mirrors. They do not have a plan to offer the American people about how they're going to move us forward and move us forward together. So instead, they're going back to a tired old playbook of sowing fear and trying to create chaos. And look, it's like you said earlier, these anti-trans ads do not work. Just ask Andy Beshear, who's sitting as governor of Kentucky after defeating them. Just ask the voters in Ohio who enshrined abortion rights into law in the midst of anti-trans ads that were coming from the opposition. They just don't work. Voters are looking for real plans, not just concepts of plans, to move our nation forward, not people who are going to attack communities that are already at the margins or attack our basic ability to make personal health care decisions.
Yeah, you mentioned Ohio. I mean, these ads are not just coming from the Trump campaign. I want to play a part of an ad from the Senate Leadership Fund, a top GOP super PAC that has been airing in Ohio against Democratic Senator Sherrod Brown.
It's just common sense.
Sherrod Brown talks about common sense, but Brown voted multiple times to allow transgender biological males to participate in girls' sports. Brown supported allowing minor children to receive sex change surgeries.
As you watch these ads, Kelly, I mean, what strikes you about how trans people are presented here?
Well, first, these are lies. I mean, the fact that they're running straight misinformation and lies to build on, to create more harm to a community that already is experiencing it is just foul. Look, I work in the community every single day. I'm in the suburbs of Atlanta right now talking to LGBTQ plus folks to get them out to vote. And what's clear is that we are a community that's already under attack. 1 in 5 hate crimes is motivated by anti-LGBTQ plus bias. The FBI just released new numbers that said hate crimes against our community are increasing. By contributing to this kind of fear against a community that is already small and unknown in so many places, it's dangerous. We saw what their blatant lies against the immigrant community in Ohio did. I'm very concerned for every child that's watching this, for every community member that's got an LGBTQ plus member of their family. I want them to know that there are people that are standing with them. And again, that these ads will not work. They haven't worked in other cycles and they won't work this year either.
There was a recent New York Times Siena College poll that found 56% of likely voters in Arizona, Georgia, North Carolina believe society should accept transgender people as having the gender they identify with, compared to 35% who are opposed to that idea. What does this poll tell you about progress or the lack of progress where we are now versus where we've been and where we should be?
I think this is a really powerful thing, because what I see from Donald Trump and J.D. Vance is that they are fighting for a future that has already arrived. 30% of Generation Z identify as a member of the LGBTQ plus community, many of them identifying as trans and non-binary. More Americans than ever support equality in this country, including the poll that you just showed, that the majority of Americans support trans people being able to identify as exactly who they are. In this moment, we need leaders who actually have plans to drive our community forward and have us to heal as a nation, not sow more division. And I think that's what we actually see from Kamala Harris and Tim Walz, is two people who have stood with our community over decades, and now it's our job to stand with them.
They have obviously, the Republicans, certainly Trump has weaponized the trans issue, going after people like the vice president as well as her vice presidential running mate. Do you see that being an effective tool of weaponizing it against the Democrats? Because we were talking about this in the earlier segment. What do Democrats need to do to energize and mobilize more of their base? Should they be leaning more into these issues that appeal to more people on the left of politics?
We've seen some incredible work from Democrats across the board, but especially from Kamala Harris and Tim Walz. I mean, these are two candidates that have decades of experience supporting our community. Kamala Harris officiating some of the first same-sex weddings in California. Tim Walz moving forward transformative legislation in Minnesota to protect health care access for trans folks. We want to make sure, and not only that, we actually saw this week even more investment from the campaign in our community. The DNC, for the first time in its history, launched a six-figure ad buy targeting LGBTQ+ media. Here's the reality. There are 75 million voters across this country who prioritize LGBTQ+ issues when deciding who to vote for. 75 million. That's more than the number of registered voters in every battleground state combined. We are a powerful constituency. And not only that, we are growing with the number of allies and people that support our issues. The campaign understands that it's not just the right thing to do, it's also the thing to do that is most politically powerful.
All right, Kelly Robinson. Kelly, thank you so much. Always a pleasure to have you on the show. Up next, a concerning